The only reason why I took a deep breath and I'm laughing is because I'm saying to myself, what has what has happened? I mean, I celebrated a draw like it was a win. You know, if you don't know, the score was Liverpool 1, Spurs 1. And if I give you a backdrop as to why I feel like that, the last time we won at Anfield was when we had Van der Vaart playing. I think I was still at uni. I'd just met like the kid's mum at that point. I think that was time ago, probably about 15 years ago. Um, that's the one place I hate going to, and I'm alright with Liverpool as well. You know, I've got a lot of family that support Liverpool. My uncle tried to bring me up to support Liverpool, and I chose Tottenham, so I'm always alright with Liverpool. But this game was a write-off. I don't even remember saying to myself, like, you know, if we can get a draw, then brilliant. This was a write-off for me. I predicted an absolute battering, not because Liverpool have been great, more like we always give teams reassurance that you can find your form back with us, hence the reason why we're called Dr. Tottenham. But yeah, I'll talk on our lineup. You know, I said it on a few videos. I said, if we're going to get out of this rut, we need to start playing the players that understand that if we don't stay up, it's a detriment to them. And if, for once in my life, I'm actually going to give the manager and a couple of the players a little bit of credit, because I've wanted Igor Sugar out. I still don't think he can do the job, but he recognised what I recognise, that start playing the players that actually realise that they might be playing in the Championship next season. You got your Archie Grays, you got your Pap Sars, you got Richarlison, Matthias Tell. You know, Sousa's just come into the fold, but he's only just been bought as a 19-year-old, thinking he's going to play in the Premier League. He's going to want to stay in there. You know, Dragusin and Danso, they're not the best defenders, but they know that if they underperform, they're going to be in the Championship. You know, Jed Spence, does he want to go back there? Pedro Porro is probably the only player in the team that probably looked at it and thought, I could get a move, but whether he pretends or not, a lot of the time he does show that he cares, whether he cares about himself or Tottenham. If you care about yourself and your performance, you're halfway there. You know, granted, we had a lot of injury problems. You know, Paulinho would have played, Conor Gallagher, but these are players that, you know, maybe it was a blessing in disguise that they weren't available. We brought on youngsters that, you know that they could be playing in the Championship, but if they help us through the rut now, who knows? Now, I got gassed because I thought it was going to be a pumping. I got gassed because we got a point when everybody else did. But when I'm looking at, you know, I'll be honest, if I want to speak about the opposition, you know, I've got my cousin, he's like my little brother, and he, even though they're top 5, you know, still can get in the Champions League and all that stuff. I spoke to him before the game and it was just, there's nothing there. And that's not him. I spoke to other Liverpool fans that I know, and it's just not there. Like, Liverpool have always been that team, whether they've had Benitez, Klopp, Dalglish, Houllier, they've always had something. And just speaking to my cousin, it was flat. And because he's emotionally attached to that, I could see. And Liverpool just, apart from Ungumoa, Gakpo at times, there wasn't really anything there, you know. Even when Salah and Ekitike come on, like, they had opportunities where I thought they could have turned or put someone in properly, and it just weren't there. And I think that definitely contributed to us end up getting a point. You know, for the first time in ages against a team that I've got full respect for, I kind of thought, if we lose this 1-0, I'll still take credit from it and think maybe we can carry that into Nottingham Forest, but we need a goal, you know, whether it be a draw or better yet a win, we need that just to give us that full bit of confidence going into next week, because that's going to be a game that's massive. You know, whoever wins that will feel that they can stay up, and the others will feel that they're going down. But you know, Ngumar was the only player that I was worried about. Frimpong's got all the pace in the world. Jed Spence and him was a good battle. You know, I want to give a massive shout out to Matthias Tell, because this is a guy that Thomas Frank didn't believe in, but he's the one guy when it comes to going forward and trying to drive the team forward. He might not have the strength, he might not have the end product all the time, but he's somebody that's just trying, man. Like, that guy, for me, was my man of the match today. And he understands that, you know, he doesn't want to be at Bayern Munich 1 minute and then come to Tottenham and 2 years later playing the Championship. And that's what will end up happening to him. You know, is that is his agent telling him that he's got offers? Probably not. You know, if he was like Mickey van der Ven, and Mickey van der Ven's being told Barcelona, Man United, Liverpool, all these people, then it's a win-win for him. If we stay up, cool. If we don't, I'll go there. We don't need players like that. You know, people will look at it and probably go, oh, if we had Mickey van der Ven and Romero, we might have got the win. I don't think we do. We had two defenders that aren't as good as them, but they were committed. You know, Dragusin, we all know he can't play on the left, and he's not a very good defender. Doesn't really like the ball at his feet, but I found myself clapping today. I just thought, you know what, you're getting stick from the Tottenham fans and all of that, and you didn't play great. I don't think you're great, but I could see that it really meant something to him today. Again, when I look at Liverpool's performance, was it great? Should they, you know, Ekitike should have started in my eyes. I don't know what happened there. It probably was, you know, a bit of confidence booster when he saw Gakpo up against him, and then there was no Salah. The only threat that they did carry was Ngumara, really. You know, 17-year-olds not carrying Liverpool in terms of like their season, but carrying it going forward. You know, they had a couple of chances. It felt like they had a lot of chances, but even when I spoke to my cousin at half time, he was like, okay, Jake, name me the chances. And apart from Gakpo hitting the post and obviously the goal from the free kick, there wasn't actually many. The Szoboszlai goal, you know, he's a free kick specialist, and he's been Liverpool's best player by a country mile, but Vicario's got to be doing better there. You know, as much as he's got to be doing better there, so is the wall. You know, he just half-heighted jump. I feel like if you jumped to your full extension, then you help your keeper out. Didn't really jump. But, you know, we've got goalkeeping problems. It's like, if Vicario, we've just got to be prepared for him to play crap for the rest of the season, potentially, and not be dropped, because Kinski is just going to be like Karius at Liverpool. It's just like, once you have a howler like that, it's very hard for you to return. But, you know, it's one of them ones. I can't believe that I celebrated a draw. But these are the times we're in, because Nottingham Forest got drew, Leeds and Palace drew. You know, it'd been nice to win, but like I said, it is a write-off for me. Like, I've written off Anfield for God knows how long. You know, whenever we play Liverpool, it's just, you just know what's going to happen. I mean, the last time I think we got any points at Anfield, I was there when Yama scored the long ranger. Sat with the Liverpool fans as well, and it was a proper good day out. But that was, you know what I mean, I don't even think my son, it feels like my son wasn't even born then when that happened. He might have been like 1 or 2 or something. So it's a long time ago. But, you know, regardless of what goes on, that could have been Liverpool, that could have been Man United, that could have been Nottingham Forest, that could have been anyone like that. It could have been Everton. We just need to get points on the board. And, you know, when you look at it, I know it sounds bad, but we need to match the points that everyone else has got around us. You know, West Ham are on a full trajectory, and I feel that regardless of what happens, they'll stay up. Leeds dug in today. You know, they got a man sent off in the first half, dug in and got a draw there, so they're showing some resilience. And a lot of those teams are playing at home next. You know, the only one that ain't playing at home next is Forest, and that's against us. So these are the ones where you've got to take the opportunity. But it makes a change for me to be able to do a calm video, because the result I'd have bit your hand off for it. But the performance, I know Liverpool helped us with the performance, because I'm not going to sit there and say we got a 1-1 draw against a good Liverpool, because that's probably the worst Liverpool I've seen in a really long time. You got to think we've had Klopp. Before that, you even had Brendan Rodgers, you know, with the Suarez's and the Sturridges and all that. So we've seen Liverpool on job for a long time. So I haven't seen them that bad. You know, they're crying out for pace on the wings, and probably in midfield, somebody that can get up and down. They'll probably, you know, I think they'll just about get top 5 and regroup in the summer. You got to understand what happened with Jota is probably going to have an effect on a lot of them, and it's just probably been a draining season. But we got to take everything that comes, man, and just carry. For me, if Igor Tudor is going to keep his job, which he probably will now, you just got to go into that Forest game and just start playing the players that care. You know, I saw Pap Sarr on the floor. He was on his knees. He looked like, you know, he couldn't even move. That's what I need to see from our midfield. He is another one who had a good game today, even though being in a double pivot isn't his game. Ran his socks off. You know, I've always been an advocate and always kind of slandered Archie Gray, but again, he's another player that is he top 10 midfielder in the league? No, but he's showing that he cares. And that's all we want from, not just as a Spurs fan, as a football fan. You just want your players to have that same emotional attachment that you've got to the club. And regardless of what's going on with the owners, regardless of what's going on with the manager even, and the circus that we've got going there, just put the shirt on and step up. That's all we asked for. You know, if we'd lost that 1-0 the way we played, I still would have clapped him, because at least I saw something, regardless of Liverpool, that you tried. Because once Liverpool went 1-0 up and the crowd are getting behind them, I thought it was going to be problems. And we dug in, probably got lucky on a couple of occasions from the chances that Liverpool had, but at the same time, we should have capitalised on some of the chances we got, you know. And speaking of chances, the last thing I'll say is Richarlison, fair play, man. Like, I don't really like him as a person a lot. I didn't really like him at Everton, but to be fair, he got himself about. There was on the ball, he wasn't great a lot of the time, but he got himself involved. And whether he had his Everton hat or not, I couldn't care less. We need to start picking up results, and I feel that if we do get a result at Forest, what's just happened there, regardless of the circumstance, is probably going to help us, because no matter who you are, if you go to Anfield and you don't get battered and you put on a performance where people start talking about maybe you should have won, it doesn't matter whether you're Man United or Arsenal, that will probably galvanise you, because that is, in my eyes, the scariest stadium to go to in the land, regardless of whether the fans are behind it or not. Anfield is Anfield. So I'll take that result, and hopefully I can build on my emotional content and be calmer in these next few videos, and hopefully get a result at Forest, which might set us up to go up the table rather than go down into the Championship. Am I convinced? Not yet. Am I happy with the performance and the result? 100%. Come on, you Spurs.